Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. It's been quite some time since I've made a video, so I thought today, inshallah, I will introduce you guys to the next letter on our list, and that is Harafosad. And in addition to this, I will also introduce you to Harfaldad and والطاد والظاء. So we're going to be learning about 4 letters today because they share common aspects with each other. In addition to all other letters that we've learned before, which will make it easier to move faster through these 4 letters. So initially, I wanted to talk about the head of Harfosad, which will be the same for the other 3, which is da, ta, and dha. Okay? The strokes are mapped out over here, where you start off at the angle as usual, and you move up and out around a 45-degree angle. And I'd like to emphasize that height here is quite important because if you don't typically get the height, what happens is that you go too vertically, too much horizontally, and it'll kind of collapse this inner nice hole that you want to look something like this. You can think of it as like an almond shape, sort of. So that is the first stroke, simple and clear, up and out. The second stroke is going to be down about a nuqta's worth, as you can see over here, and is going to have a preparatory curve that will prepare for the third portion, which is going to be a drag down and out, downwards worth 1 nuqta, right? So it is not a straight drag out, it is not a vertical one down, and it's not at a 45-degree angle. It's just a slight inclination downwards and out worth 1 nuqta. And I'd like just to mention that the upward 45-degree angle drag is 2 nuqtas and a half. So just keep those proportions in mind. And you've seen this stroke before with harfud dal. It's just much longer, and it extends beyond the tip over here, out over here about half a nuqta or up to a nuqta. And then the body is the same as harful sin and the same as harful noon. So you've seen this before and you've practiced this before, so I won't waste the time going through that. Let's go through an example of creating Harfosad. Again, we want to start at the correct angle, okay? And we want to begin by moving up and out. You notice how it's around a 45-degree angle up, but it's also a continuous curve. Okay, so it's an up and out with a continuous curvature in the letter. Now, we want to start right where we left off, move down and preparatory curve. Okay, so that's around a nuqta's worth down. And then we're going to start off there and move down and out in a curve, as you can see. And it extends beyond the beginning, about a nuqta or half a nuqta depending. And then we go into the body and so on and so forth. And you can always go back to adjust small minor adjustments. Now notice here how this sod is actually more collapsed than this one. And that is the point I want to make. Incorrect motions are very easy with this letter. So you want to make sure that you are getting enough vertical altitude and curvature so that you end up with this nice almond shape and don't collapse it like what happened over here. Let's move on to kind of grading this and seeing, the different proportions. If we start off, you'll notice that this right here is around 2 nuqtas and a half. And you'll notice that right here is about around a nuqta's worth. The proportions over here. Then you'll notice how right here there's about a nuqta's worth moving downwards. Okay. And then for the body, similar to Harf al-Noon, same exact thing. We're just going to go conduct the same strokes. And I'm not going to go into the specifics of that, but I just did it for demonstration. About as nuqta's worth downwards as well. Great. Moving on, for Harf al-Ta, the proportions are similar. The only minor difference is that there is a longer drag out in the first portion. It is not super long, but it is a little more elongated. And you notice how the different shapes, if you look at this one right here, you'll notice how it's a little longer here of an almond shape. Okay, and that is normal for Harf al-Ta. A lot of teachers teach it to being the same proportions and just explain how there's more elongation in the head. So just keep that in mind. Practice it similarly to Harafosad, just give it a little extra extension on this first portion. As for the body, similar to Harafosad, you just drag down and out, and once you kind of reach out here, around a nuqta's worth outwards from where you started, as we saw over here, this is around a nuqta's worth over here. Once you get to that nuqta's worth length, you stop and you want to continue the rest drawn out as seen over here. That is for the individual ta. Now the alif portion of the ta is just exactly the same as the normal alif. It is 3 nuqtas in height, and the positioning is around here. It is not right at the edge, and it is not halfway. It is just between those two positionings